Yehovah Shalom. Yehovah is peace, the one who reconciles his people and restores harmony through peace. Yehovah Elohei Shalom. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. Please fill me and lead me, and cover me and stir me, and speak through me with your Ruach Kodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness and humility to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua Mashiach's name. Amen. We'll start with the Shema. Listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity with himself, and you shall act upon your love to Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts and mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Yeh-ho-VAH. Hand, behold, now, behold. 2 Chronicles chapter 30. Then Hezekiah sent to all Israel and Yehudah, and wrote letters also to Ephraim and Manasseh, summoning them to the house of Yehovah in Jerusalem, to keep the Pesach to Yehovah, the God of Israel. For the king, his officials, and the entire Jerusalem community had agreed to keep the Pesach in the second month. They had not been able to observe it at the proper time because the Kohanim had not consecrated themselves in sufficient number. Also, the people had not assembled in Jerusalem. The idea had seemed right to the king and to the whole community, so they issued a decree that it should be proclaimed throughout all Israel from Beersheba to Dan, that all should come to keep Pesach to Yehovah, the God of Israel, at Jerusalem, for only a few had been observing it as prescribed. So runners went with the letters from the king and his officers throughout all Israel and Yehudah. They conveyed the king's orders. People of Israel, turn back to Yehovah, the God of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Then he will return to those of you who remain, who escaped capture by the kings of Ashur. Don't be like your ancestors or like the kinsmen who sinned against Yehovah, the God of their ancestors, with the result that he allowed them to become an object of horror, as you see. Don't be stiff-necked now as your ancestors were. Instead, yield yourselves to Yehovah. Enter his sanctuary, which he has made holy forever, and serve Elohei Yehovah your God, so that his fierce anger will turn away from you. For if you turn back to Yehovah, your kinsmen and children will find that those who took them captive will have compassion on them, and they will come back to this land. Yehovah your God is compassionate and merciful. He will not turn his face from you if you return to him. So the runners passed from city to city throughout the territory of Ephraim and Manasseh as far as Zebulun. But the people laughed at them and made fun of them. Nevertheless, some from Ashur and Manasseh and Zebulun were humbled enough to come to Jerusalem. Also in Yehudah the hand of God was at work, uniting their hearts to do what the king and the leaders had ordered in accordance with the word of Yehovah. Thus, many people assembled in Jerusalem to keep the Elohei feast of Matzah. In the second month, a huge crowd. First, they set about removing Elohei the altars that were there in Jerusalem, and they also removed all the altars for Elohei incense and threw them in the Vadi Kidron. Then they slaughtered the Pesach lamb on the 14th day of the second month. Ashamed of themselves, the Kohanim and Leviim had consecrated themselves and brought burnt offerings into the house of Yehovah. Now they stood at their stations as prescribed in the Torah of Moshe, the man of God. The Kohanim splashed Elohei of the blood given to them by the Leviim, for there were many in the assembly who had not consecrated themselves. Therefore the Leviim were responsible for slaughtering the Pesach lamb and consecrated them to Yehovah on behalf of everyone who was not clean. For a large number of the people, especially from Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, and Zebulun, had not cleaned themselves but ate Elohei, the Pesach lamb, anyway, despite what was written. For Hezekiah, who had prayed for them, May Yehovah, who is good, pardon everyone who sets his heart on seeking God, Yehovah, the God of his ancestors, even if he hasn't undergone the purification prescribed in connection with the holy things. Yehovah heard Hezekiah and healed Eloah of the people. The people of Israel there in Jerusalem observed the Eloah festival of Matzah for 7 days with great joy, while every day the Levi'im and Kohanim praised Yehovah, singing to Yehovah with the accompaniment of loud instruments. Hezekiah spoke encouragingly to all the Levi'im who were well skilled in the service of Yehovah. Thus they ate throughout the Eloah festival for 7 days, offering sacrifices of peace offerings and giving thanks to Yehovah, the God of their ancestors. Then the whole assembly decided to celebrate for another 7 days, and they observed those 7 days too with joy. For Hezekiah, king of Yehudah, gave the assembly 1,000 bulls, 7,000 sheep for offerings, while the leaders gave the assembly 1,000 bulls and 10,000 sheep, and great numbers of Kohanim consecrated themselves. All the people who had assembled from Yehudah rejoiced, as did the Kohanim and Levi'im, those assembled from Israel, and foreigners who had come from the territory of Israel or lived in Yehudah. So there was great joy in Jerusalem, for since that time of Shlomo, the son of David, king of Israel, there had been nothing like it in Jerusalem. Then the Kohanim, who were Levi'im, stood up and blessed Eloah of the people. Yehovah heard their voice, and their prayer came up to the holy place where he lives in heaven. How can we learn to love our Creator from reading this fascinating 30th chapter of 2 Chronicles? We can love Yehovah by responding quickly when he calls you to return. Love Yehovah by cherishing his appointed times, entering his presence with a pure heart. Love Yehovah by sharing his invitation with others, even those who seem distant. How can we love our neighbors as we love ourselves and as Yeshua loves us? By inviting others to Yehovah's table, extending mercy instead of judgment, remembering that his grace gathers those who were once scattered. How can we bear one another's burdens? By praying for those who are unclean or unready, asking Yehovah to pardon and heal them as he did in Jerusalem's great assembly. What are the top 3 fruits of the Spirit found? 1. Grace. Hezekiah prayed that Yehovah would pardon those who sought him, even without full ritual preparation. 2. Unity. The people came together from every tribe, rejoicing in Yehovah's goodness. 3. Joy. The feast overflowed with music, thanksgiving, and celebration, unlike any since Solomon's day. What is the Hebrew word that encapsulates this chapter? Ḥesed. Covenant mercy, loving kindness, steadfast grace. Verse 9. For Yehovah your God is gracious and merciful, and he will not turn away his face from you if you return to him. How can we find Yeshua in the scriptures? Hezekiah's Passover points to Yeshua, the true Lamb, who gathers every tribe and tongue into one redeemed family. The invitation to return mirrors Yeshua's call, "Come to me, all you are weary." Matthew 11, verse 28. The healing of those unclean reveals the sufficiency of Messiah's atonement beyond ritual limits. What is the Mitzvah response, Torah-Based? Mitzvah. Exodus 12, verses 47 through 48. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And if a stranger shall sojourn with you and keep the Passover to Yehovah, let all his males be circumcised, then let him come near. A response might look like this: I will keep the feast of Yehovah in spirit and in truth, inviting others to join in his covenant through Yeshua, the Passover Lamb. Hebrew declaration: Ḥesed Yehovah mi'ached u'mirap et amo. The mercy of Yehovah unites and heals his people. In this Friday night Shabbat, with the Aaronic blessing, using the name, Yehovah will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Yehovah will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward you, bringing order, and he'll provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yehovah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you, set in place all you need to be whole and complete. Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Shalom.